I dare to say that Russia is a fake state. No, it wasn't always fake. It started gradually becoming fake in the early 2000s after Vladimir Putin was first appointed, then elected the president of Russia. At first, we didn't know it was fake. Then February 2022 came and, how do I say that? Shock and awe followed. In today's live stream, I will shed the light to the dark corners of Russian state so we can all see that it is fake. Howdy, howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. And you will not find here propaganda, BS or lies, but find truth, common sense, and logic, and emotions too, because I am a human being. We'll talk today of how Putin has been helping Russia to become a fake state. But first things first, what is a fake state? To me personally, it is when people look at the country and see a picture, and that picture differs from reality. What's on paper cannot be found in life. On paper, there's democracy. In real life, there's dictatorship. On paper, people are rich. In real life, they starve. That's how I understand fake state. But what makes me think that Russia is a fake state? Instead of telling you the philosophical stories, things like that, I'll give you examples from real life. And then you decide for yourself whether Russia is a fake state or not. But once you decide, please let me know in the comments below what do you think. And I really appreciate that. Let's go. Number one. Iranian Rader technology. I bet you have not heard of Russian woodpecker. Well, some of you who are really into radio, they, might have. Russian woodpecker. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union built an early warning over-the-horizon radar detection system to listen to or for NATO and US ballistic missiles incoming. So that system was so powerful that the device that was on would interfere with radio receivers in North America, and it became known as the Russian woodpecker. Why this strange name? Well, because it made a sharp, repetitive rat-tak-tak-tak-tak noise, just like woodpecker. Therefore, the name, the Russian woodpecker. That detection system was called Duga. It operated from 76 to 89, and two operational Duga radars were deployed, one near Chernobyl and another in eastern Siberia. The technology that Duga was built upon was a Soviet know-how and very innovative at the time. That actually is a very interesting story. There's a book written about it by one of the Soviet scientists named Alexander Babakin. He wrote the book during the freedom years that briefly followed the destruction of the collapse of the USSR, the 90s, early 90s. And the book is called The Battle in Ionosphere. It describes, it just tells about the history of creation and development over the horizon technology and Duga radar. Its father was a young scientist named Efir Shustov. I highly recommend this book. It can be found online as a free read, it's still not a secret. It has not been made a secret, you still can get out there and read it. Well, let's fast forward to 2023 now. It's become widely known that Russia is lacking in many areas of military technology, equipment, and hardware. To get some stuff, it needs to turn to Iran. In particular, Russia is receiving drones, rockets, and air defense systems that could detect and neutralize small and low-flying targets, such as drones, small drones. In Russia, the taxpayers were thinking for decades that they were protected from any missile attack. And the Russian generals responsible, they were assuring everyone that Russia had one of the best in the world missile defense system, if not the best, even better than Israel's Iron Dome, Russian comrades, there is nothing to worry about. Go drink vodka. But Russia's Iron Dome turned out to be a fake. The Ukrainian drones started flying and successfully hitting all kinds of targets in Moscow. Gosh, they even hit the Kremlin, around Moscow, all over the central Russia. Hey, I know, all right? An apartment right next to mine in Moscow was hit by a drone. Yes. So, and guess what? There was no Iron Dome inside. There was no air defense missile system whatsoever. Well, something's got to be done about it, right? So the Russians came to Iran to humbly beg for small, low-flying target defense system. And Iran has those systems plenty. Iranian-born and bred, so to speak. And who is the father of the Iranian missile air defense system? Now, if you're standing up, please sit down, because it's none other than the young, brilliant Soviet scientist Efir Shustov. Well, at least he's not so young anymore, He's around in his 90s or so. His story is very interesting, In 91, he had already been an acclaimed inventor and the father of, this hugely important for the USSR air relay Rader system, whatever. Duga, the famous Duga, the Russian woodpecker, okay? Well, in 91, when the USSR fell apart, the facility where Shustov worked was bought by a young Russian oligarch and closed down. In that wonderful location in the center of St. Petersburg, the apartment blocks and office building were built. Shustov and his team were literally left out on the street. Then the Iranians came, and they offered a generous pay. And Shustov and his colleagues went to Iran. And 30 years later, Iran has a very advanced missile defense system. And the Russians, who were the creators of that technology 70 years ago, fly to Iran begging to sell it to them at any price. Why? Because Russians live in a fake state, where on paper the Iron Dome exists, but in reality all trillions of rubles have been stolen by the generals in charge. And by the way, 3 high-ranked generals that were in charge of this air defense system development, maintenance, and so forth, they have been arrested over 12 months. If I was them, I'd stay away from open windows. And my next story is the invisible Armata tanks. Armata, or T14, is supposed to be a super-duper new marvelous Russian tank. T14 is supposed to be the best, the most advanced in the world. All kinds of systems, including infrared surveillance, active armor, stealth technology, automatic turrets, etc. All that stuff that they were constantly feeding us in the newspaper, in the state TV, everywhere they could get into our brains, all that stuff, it really sounded really good out of sci-fi movies. But Armata's most advanced technology turned out to be its invisibility. Anyway, officially, the research and development of the new tank started in 2009 and lasted for 6 years. First two Armatas were shown at the V-Day parade in 2015. It was a very strange showcase, let me tell you. First of all, one of the tanks stalled right in the middle of the Red Square during the parade, parade practice. And second, some parts of the tanks, two tanks, looked like they were made out of cardboard. And third, it's kind of looked like American tank Abrams. Abrams, old good Abrams. Some people badmouthed Armata, saying it was an old, cancelled Soviet project from the 80s that Russian generals used to steal hundreds of billions of rubles. That's billions of US dollars in the prices of, the teens. But what do they know? The bad-mouthing people. They're just no good bums, The Russian generals couldn't have done that. Well, in 2015, the CEO of Armata, after that V-Day parade that was not really successful but was hailed as successful in the Russian media, and, that's another fake state proof. So in 2015, the manufacturer announced that Russian armed forces placed an order for 2,300 of T-14s to be supplied until 2020. The money was allocated, and they started spending them, The production must have started. You see, on paper, Russian army received 2,300 of state-of-the-art military armor. Fantastic, isn't it? Well, let's fast forward to 2022. Russia starts the war with Ukraine. Russia invades Ukraine, and Russian tanks start rolling onto Ukrainian soil. But should be easy to overtake Ukraine, considering they have 2,300 of this brand new, fantastic, freakish, fear-instigating tanks armatas. Right? Not so fast, friends. Not one armata has made it to the front lines. I repeat that, not one single tank, not one T-14, not one armata has made it to the front lines. Well, for a very obvious reason. There aren't any armatas. The money for the 2,300 tanks supplied that should have been supplied by 2020, the money's gone, spent, so to speak. And the T-14 tanks, they probably exist on paper, but not in reality, because Russia is a fake state. On papers, armatas exist, but in reality, well, they kind of also exist, but they're not tanks. They are big chateaux in the south of France. They're big yachts of Russian generals and politicians sailing Azure Mediterranean. They're the penthouses on Miami Beach overlooking the Atlantic. That's the armatas. You know what? It's too bad that 2,300 armatas aren't nowhere to be found, on the front lines. I'd love to see how they would perform in the battlefield with cardboard armor. Speaking of armor, that's my third story for you. The Russian armor story. The USSR, not Russia, did possess a lot of advanced military technology, advanced at the time. Some of that technology was passed on to Russia, and that technology passed includes armor technology. Then I'll talk of two armors. First, personal armor, and second, tank armor. First armor is Ratnik. Ratnik is a part of general project to improve the combat effectiveness of soldiers in survival on a battlefield of one soldier. through the use of scientific achievements in the field of armored materials, navigation, night vision systems, tracking the psychophysiological state of soldiers, Russian soldiers. For Russia, that's the level of advancements that had never been heard of. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Especially psychophysiological tracking of live tracking of the soldier, you know. So basically there should be an operator for every soldier tracking him, his psychological state, and, you know, trying to figure out how soldier is doing, what's the heartbeat. And I saw that in sci-fi movies. I think it was something like Starship Troopers, the aliens, something like that. It's big, you know, good stuff. You know, finally we have in sci-fi entering Russia, life of Russian people, Russian soldiers, you know. Super duper. Advanced personal body armor system is here. Very expensive too. Well, of course, this stuff cannot be cheap. We'll understand that, and we are taxpayers. Well, if it's really that advanced, why not to pay for that armor so our boys are safe and very effective, right? That's what 145 million Russian taxpayers thought. And according to the official data, around 300,000 Ratniks, the sets, you know, the whole 9 yards, the monitors, you know, the infrared vision, night vision, and the, you know, advanced technologies, materials. So 300,000 sets are in use by Russian servicemen. I actually saw Ratnik armor twice. First, it was showed to Dmitry Medvedev, and when he was the president, at a military expo, and it was a long time ago. And the second time, it was showed in October of last year, when they showed on propaganda TV how Putin met the mobilized. Well, we all know how exactly and what exactly the mobilized were being equipped with in Russia. Pretty much nothing, you know. There are plenty of videos of that. The videos don't lie. The words can lie, but if you look at the videos, if you look at how many thousands of people complained that were mobilized just last year, I mean, that's pretty obvious, you know. But wait a second. Where all those 300,000 Ratnik sets of body armor disappeared to? 300,000 have been supplied. Well, perhaps nowhere, because Russia is a fake state. Perhaps those 300,000 sets exist on paper, but the reality is a little different, you know. And the second armor I'll talk about is tank armor. Do you know what tank's reactive armor is? Well, it's basically it's a bunch of plow powder explosives that are placed all over tank's surface. If you look at the picture of modern tank, you will see those little cubes all over on top of the armor. When a shaped charge strikes the upper plate of such reactive armor, it detonates the inner explosive inside of the little cube, releasing blunt damage that the tank can absorb easily, okay? So, basically, it does not let charges, the shells, penetrate tank's main armor, and that stuff works pretty well. But there's been a phenomenon happening in the war with Ukraine. Russian tanks get hit in large numbers. They're not supposed to be disabled. They're not supposed to be destroyed because they have this very advanced reactive armor. But they get destroyed. And it turned out to be that reactive armor did not have needed active chemicals inside those armor cells. Chemicals were simply stolen en masse and sold, you know. So on paper, the reactive armor exists and protects tanks, and in reality, the tanks burn. Because Russia is a fake state. Let me give you more examples, friends. Russian automaking industry. For 20 years, Russians were told that the country had an incredibly strong growing industry of car making. All those cars seen on Russian roads, they were made in Russia, they said. You know, those big companies, international companies, they came in, they entered Russian market, and they built large manufacturing plants. And that was true. Okay. But it didn't make them Russian. They still were not Russian. And all of a sudden, when the Russia declared the war, every manufacturer left. And the only two manufacturers that remained in Russia are Lada and Kamaz, that old Soviet monsters. Because, well, they turned out to be, even them, not to be turned out Russian. So they're not Russian. All those companies who were manufacturing, they turned out to be foreign. And even the remaining two cannot manufacture cars in Russia, Russian cars normally, as they rely on foreign-made parts and components. From what I hear, it's around 40% of parts and components are imported. Without them, you can't really manufacture cars. So what happens? I'm not sure about Kamaz, that big, huge trucks, but what I know about Ladas, that 80% of Ladas these days are supplied into car dealerships. They say, not completed. In other words, missing something, you know. So dealer usually places a call and says to the manufacturer, hey, you forgot to install the steering wheel. You know, and then the manufacturer answers, we know it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to come to you that way, you know. So why does it happen? Why on paper Russia had an industry, but in reality did not? Because Russia simply is a fake state. And the next story, oil discovery and drilling. You know, for longest times, Russians thought that Russian oil companies were Russian. It turned out, no. No, of course, land and oil in the land, they belong to Putin's friends. That's Russian. That's Russian as you get, right? But the technologies for drilling or discovering new fields, they're not Russian. Those companies never developed their own technologies. They simply used Western companies' technologies. You know, and Western companies left just like that. And they took everything along with them. What used to be thriving industry on paper in Russia turned out to be fake. Because Russia is a fake state. The next story, tourism. Believe it or not, tourism is also on my list. Tourism! For goodness sake. In 2010, and I remember that very well, okay, a federal enterprise called Kurorty Severного Кавказа was created. It was created by the government with the goal to turn North Caucasus, which is a fantastically beautiful area with tall mountains, you know, in the south of Russia. So the goal was to declare, the goal was to turn it to an oasis, a world-famous resort, okay, filled with hotels and, you know, roads and gondolas and, you know, skiing resorts and everything. So, but definitely there's space for that there. And for years, they were news of successful work of that enterprise. On paper, huge development projects were happening in the North Caucasus. But then something happened, and all of a sudden, the Attorney General office in Moscow announced in 2021, that's 11 years after this state enterprise was created and financed for 11 years, that so that the Attorney General office announced that 73 billion rubles had been stolen and nothing was done. Nothing. It's not me saying, that's the Attorney General's office. Absolutely nothing was to show for those 73 billion rubles spent. And that, just for 1 second, $2 billion US in the prices of 2013. So on paper, Russia has blossoming world-class resort area where Russians can go to. In reality, it's a fake state. If Russians actually go there, they will find nothing. The next is sport. Sport is also on my list. Don't think that it's a pleasure to talk about this stuff for me. It's actually a shame because I am a Russian voter and I'm a taxpayer. And I feel responsibility for every single story like that, okay? Because they fooled me. Not you, but me. And I'm just telling you of the demise of me and 145 45 million Russian taxpayers. We're the stupid ones. So the next story is sport. Sport can be fake, right? It's black and white. You have athletes who compete domestically and internationally. They either win or lose. It's really easy to show the result. There's either result or there's no result. If an athlete wins the Olympics, that's a result. If he or she doesn't win, that's a negative result, And Russia historically had great athletes. You all know that, The athletes won many gold and different kinds of medals. Olympic, world champion, European championships, just name it. So many medals and something to be proud of, right? Oh, wait a second. It can't be that those were fakes too. Olympic medals. Well, my friends, I have one word for you. Doping. Doping. Hundreds of athletes were caught cheating red-handed. There was a system of doping created by a crook named Grigory Rodchenkov that the Russian government was sponsoring. That was quite a shame. And it happened way before Russia invaded Ukraine. I think it happened for the first time in the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. That was 7 or 8 years ago. So on paper, Russia had fantastic sports programs. Russia had golden medalists and plenty of them too. But in reality, it turned out that a lot of medals, a lot of athletes, a lot of medals turned out to be fake and a lot of athletes turned out to be cheating. Because Russia is a fake state. And the last but not least, and actually the funniest, the story I'm gonna tell you is about Rosnano. If you're not Russian, or if you haven't lived in Russia, chances are you have never heard of Rosnano. Rosnano in English translates as Russian nanotechnologies. It's already funny. Russian nanotechnologies. Small, tiny. No. One of Putin's friends, actually a guy who helped him to get elected in 1999 to be placed as a Russian president, and then helped him to get elected in 2000, was made the head of this brand new state company, federal owned and federally financed company called Rosnano, Russian Nano. The company was created around 2010, a long time ago. And the goals were actually fantastic. The goals of this state-owned enterprise were to make Russia the leader of nanotechnologies, to develop the best nanotechnologies in the world, because nanotechnologies back then were, they were considered the top of the top, okay? And of course, to make that happen, Russian government did not spare any money. It gave very, very, very considerable financing to this company. And the company existed for over a decade. The company actually worked. There were thousands of people working for the company. From time to time, they made news that the press secretary of the company would come out and said something, we're going to build the first nano factory in Russia or something, this crazy things. And then the situation lasted for over 10 years. And the war started. And the guy who was the head of Rosnano, he actually, in one of the first days of the war, he fled Russia. He went to Israel. He got Israeli citizenship, and basically he claimed political asylum in Israel. Not asylum, but he's Jewish. Turns out he's Jewish. He has second citizenship, but he fled from political situation. And they started investigating Rosnano. And right now, the investigators are making assumptions. They're claiming that Rosnano has spent over 200 billions of rubles. I don't think that they know the exact amount, but it's around 220 billion rubles. That in the prices of 2013, 2014, that amounts to around 3.5 billion US dollars. They have absolutely nothing to show. All that money have been outright stolen. Well, I was thinking, Rosnano, they must have taken this, they've developed this nanotechnology of making things that are normal size and shrinking them into tiny nano parts, things. And they took all that money and they shrunk it into small little tiny bills that cannot even be seen by a microscope. You need special microscope for that. And they probably hid them somewhere. Okay, this is what I think the actual story. Whether it's true or not, we will see. The investigators will tell. And the list actually goes on. I could sit here and speak of such fakes, for a couple more hours easily. But I think you get the point now. There are so many fakes in Russia that combined all together, they form one ginormous, one colossal fake that overtakes the entire country, that changes people's minds, okay? That distorts truth from lies. Perhaps that's why the government is behaving so madly. That's why people are keeping silent, although they're seeing what's going on. They're seeing that the atrocities are done in their names. They're seeing the money that it's their money, the taxes that they pay are outright stolen, okay? Perhaps that's why they're keeping silent despite of knowing all of that. That's why no one is held responsible for saying lies. They must believe that they live in one big fake, all of them in Russia. And if so, who needs values? Who needs morals? Who needs decency? Who needs empathy? It's all fake. Welcome to Russia 2023. And this has been my message, friends. Thank you so very much for coming. Fantastic to see you. Let me know what you think. You agree with me or disagree? I'd love to hear your opinion in the live stream chat, or if you're watching it after the stream is over, in the comments below. Right there. Thank you so much. Let me turn on the live stream chat comments, live stream chat, so we can all talk. While I'm doing that, I'd like to ask you a favor. Please help me spread my message. Make reposts of this message in your social media accounts. That helps a lot. And if you want to buy me a coffee or a tea, I wouldn't mind. Thank you so much. The live stream chat is on, and fantastic to see everyone. This is, as usual, my most favorite part of the live stream, because I see that the chat comes alive with people. It's fantastic. Lorna and Mommy #1. Dirk, no matter how hard you try, it's Lorna and Mommy, because they start the live stream chat even before I start speaking. So please, Dirk, I apologize, but it's time. And you are #1 among the usual suspects always. Thank you so much. If you're not seeing the live stream chat, please hit the refresh button and it'll appear on your screen. And if you want me to notice your messages or questions easier, please put them in caps, all caps, and put inside Russia after add button, so add sign, so it appears highlighted in a large orange box for me. Thank you so much. In case you're here for the first time, the best moderation team in the world is here. Lorna, Mami K, Bob S, Harry Potter, and Amir Fazad. And looks like everyone is here today. Dirk, howdy, howdy. Karino, happy belated birthday again. Airborne Snail, Julie W, Just Terry, Life, Paula W, Jules Rames, Pinda the Peanut, Koshkin Dom, KG1, Ferrari Guy, Kyle E, Jua, Angela McNaw, and everyone, welcome. Thank you so much. Whew. So what do you think? What do you think of the stream? In caps, and please highlight in orange so I see it. Thank you so much, Daniel McInnes from Canada. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. No message, but thank you. Well received. And Jason Carney is back. Huge super chat. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate it. What can I say? From the bottom of my heart, you are the champion supporter of Inside Russia. I wish I could, highlight it somehow, somewhere on the wall, or I don't know. Just give me an idea. But thank you from me and from Natasha. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, Lorna, Dirk is good. Todd's Club Guitar and Gear Review. Howdy. Jason, again, thank you for sponsoring 5 more people with gifting them sponsorship. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Sam K, howdy. I don't know, Jason, would you like me to sing like something to you or do anything special? Just let me know, Mommy can't get into chat. Lorna, what's going on? Did we exclude her from the mods? I didn't. Did you? Alvin, Potemkin Village. Was that under Empress Catherine? Yes, Alvin, thank you so much. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your sister is well. It was under Empress Catherine. There was Count. Last name Potemkin. Count Potemkin. Anyway, He had some land. I barely remember the story. He had some land, and he had to show that the land was developed. And the Empress Catherine decided to go and see for herself. And she was riding in a carriage, and, the guy, he stole all the money, so he didn't have anything developed. He didn't have any villages. He didn't have any people living there. So basically, they built facades, and they made them look real nice facades, not real houses, but just the facades. And Catherine, rode by, and she saw the houses that appeared to be the houses, and she rewarded Count Potemkin, and that's became an infamous story, That's how Russia still works. Alvin, basically what I've been telling you today is exactly that, the Potemkin village. This is how they steal money. Taras Kulik, thank you so much. Fantastic to see Ukrainian here. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Please forgive us. Thank you. Crusader Damian, watching Russian propaganda TV. It seems Russia is siding with Hamas terrorists. Can this possibly be? Is Israel not a friendly country? Since when? Crusader Damian, I did a stream yesterday. Let me double check. I think it was yesterday about that, exactly about that. How Russia propaganda, Russian government, what they do in here in Russia right now. They're basically they're putting dirt on Israel, and they're just glorifying Hamas. The stream is called How Putin Using Israel-Palestine Conflict to promote his advantage, to promote his to promote his agenda. So check it out. That's a stream I did yesterday. Check it out, and that's about that. So how is this Patreon thing working today? I went and tried to fix it yesterday after the stream. Lorna Mommy, let me know. Henrik, thank you so much for sending a super sticker. I appreciate it very much. Who has banned Miami K? Oh, it's not gonna bode well with me and Lorna if someone banned her. Dan Caldwell, hope everyone's having a great day. Me too. Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you. Just Terry, same. Thank you so much. Yeah, singing. Daniel McInnes, thank you. I appreciate it again. And KG1, if fake vodka and whiskey production still high and other counterfeited goods in general. Fake vodka and whiskey production not so high because the government is regulating the price. Well, first of all, the government owns the production of vodka, of the drinking spirit, this alcohol. So in what vodka, Russian vodka is made, they take alcohol and dilute it with water. Okay, that's how they make Russian vodka. If you make alcohol by yourself without license, that's a big crime. They don't like that. So right now, the price is regulated and there's not too huge amounts of counterfeit. But the prices will be rising starting next year. The government announced that it's going to, they usually regulate the price by lowering or raising the excise amount from every bottle. It's like vodka tax. Okay, so they're going to be increasing vodka tax, and you'd better believe it, there will be much of a illegally distilled vodka and whiskey and so forth. So other counterfeited goods in general, yes, there are plenty, and most are coming from China. So they're Chinese, that's already cheap and not too great of a quality. But the Chinese, on top of that, they supply the counterfeited goods, so it's even worse. Reinhard, good Abend. X-Flying Tiger, thank you so much. John and Nikki from Lake Shasta, thank you. Looking for... Mark Griffith, what about Su-57 jets? Not a single one seen over Ukraine. Honestly, I have not even heard of Su-57. Perhaps you mean Su-37, not 57. No, not a single one. New plane. Su-35, the plane, the brand new, like, next generation plane that I've heard of, and I don't think it's flying over Ukraine. I think it's the same thing as Armata, David Porter's in the house. Fantastic to hear from you, my friend. I'm sending love to you and your family in Chernovtsi and everyone who is in Chernovtsi, Ukraine. May God protect you from the rockets and from war, so you guys stay safe. Pinda, was doping not something that started in the 80s? Perhaps. I know that they were clean athletes as well. And the technology has improved so much. It's become so much easier to mask the doping. I think that the athletes started using it more and more. Mommy K is finally in chat. Okay. Good. Mommy is back. Vernon, do you know about Russia's part of China Belt and Road Initiative? Vernon, you just surprised me. I have not heard that Russia has participated in this Belt and Road Initiative. I heard of separate projects discussed quite some time ago. And that's pretty much it. Like, railroad to China, I wasn't sure and still not sure if it's the part of that initiative. So, but I'll check it out. Thank you. Jekyll N, thank you so much. Usual support with unusual message, because usually you don't send messages, and this is fantastic to see a message from you. Why don't Russians learn from the Chinese? Aussie spy boss said yesterday that China is the biggest intellectual thief in the world, and they make good use of it. Jekyll, thank you for your support, first of all, and let me tell you why. I've thought of it before. I think the answer leads us way back hundreds of years. You see, in Russia, people were slaves for a long, long time. And they had nothing of their own. They were property of other people, of other Russians. And they didn't feel any love, any proud, they didn't have any good feelings for things around them. because it was not their world, it was not their country, it was not their life. Therefore, they didn't care. And I think that psychology still exists today in Russia, because Russians don't consider Russia as their home, okay? They consider it as a place where you steal and make money, and you don't care what happens after you. You go into a forest and cut the trees, illegally. Oh, that's good because I made some bucks. But you don't care that there will be no forest after you. There's a Russian budget. And, well, for example, if Russia was peaceful, I could understand that it would want to develop some defense technologies. But the generals think this: who cares? I'm going to steal all the money or some of the money, and I don't care if it gets developed or not. It's just me. And then people steal, and then they run away from Russia. They go to France, to the UK, to Dubai, to the USA, to Canada. And there, once they arrive there, to Australia as well, there they feel like, oh, it's a civilized society. Oh, it's this, and then they start respecting it, and they start treating it as their home. And that's why I think this is the biggest problem. Chinese actually love their country. They care about China. Russians don't. All they care about their own pockets. Again, the roots of that are in the past. This is the very short explanation that actually deserves a stream. Keith from Hawaii. Is this the real Constantine? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, real Constantine. Well, it's definitely not fake. Let me tell you that. Thank you, Keith. Constantine is definitely not fake. Leitmotif for me, surely some of the military equipment is real. Yes, of course, something is real. But what I've said, Armatas, and Su-35s and the equipment and Rader systems, air defense systems, turned out to be non-existent, fakes. Gelled 95 looks like they do have miniaturized the Russian ruble. Well, I tell you what, they took that 220 billion Russian rubles. That's what, $2.5 billion US dollars. That's a lot of money. And they shrank it. And they said, wow, that's a prototype. Now we're going to take the entire country's currencies, all the rubles, and we're going to shrink them. But it's going to take us longer time, and it's going to be slower because it's so many rubles in the country. So they have started working. Look, the ruble is shrinking. It's trading at 98 today was trading, but it's going to be 100. Folks, those of you who are interested in the economy, I have news for you. Remember, I did a week ago, so I did a stream, 3 weeks ago, I did a stream on Russian budget, new Russian budget, what it includes, what it excludes, and so forth. And I've studied it quite a bit, and it's very crazy, because they are projecting the income as unreasonably high. And everyone's been wondering, like, what are these economists of the central bank, of the Ministry of Finance, what are they thinking? It's unprofessional. There's not enough revenues to the Russian budget. I mean, they have to jack up all taxes, corporate and personal, like 100% up to receive that kind of revenues. And then it struck me. Russian ruble. They're going to devalue it a great deal, and they already have it calculated in the tax, in the Russian budget, okay? Because the amount in dollars for the oil they're still selling will be intact. But if they devalue ruble, they will have more and more rubles for $1, okay? And this is how they're gonna fill up the budget next year. But that's gonna bring them enormous problem of high inflation. So just off topic a little bit. The Underdog, thank you so very much. Chris Lyons, some money gets stolen on projects like that. Happens in the US too. It's a shame and sad that no effort at all was put into the goals. No one at the top even cares. Not only they don't care, they expect money to be stolen and they need their cut, okay? Of course, if there's a huge infrastructure project or any large project, of course there's a possibility that there are crooks, and of course they would steal some money. The biggest difference between the USA and Russia is the USA, it's all about business, it's all about construction, it's all about giving results, all right, staying inside budget. And if someone, nibbles a part, that happens. But in Russia, the entire idea is to steal. No one wants to build. Everyone wants to steal, and everyone is oriented towards stealing. So that's a system of stealing, and that's what pretty sad. Garth McKill, thank you so much. Keep speaking the truth. I will keep listening. Thank you, Garth. I really appreciate it. This is exactly what I love to hear, that people find what I do interesting and useful, and will keep on listening. Thank you so very much. Craig, those 300,000 Ratnik infantry kids are currently guarding 2,300 Armata tanks. It's a good one. Possibly stationed in the new luxury resorts of the North Caucasus. Yeah, true. Don't Russian people get paid for nothing? Paid anyways? Well, if you steal, then the people do get paid for nothing. But in Russia, they say, we pretend that we work and they pretend that they pay us. That's how it usually works. Nige G, the guidance systems on nuclear weapons. I'm not sure what your question is about. Tor, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for supporting. Sorry that Russia has become a fake state, but thanks for good love. I tried. The topic was very serious and sad, but I did think of how to bring a laugh or two into the stream. Steering wheels. Pamela J, I hope you remember the story. Everyone, a little off topic, but I made a crazy news update a while ago. That's 6 months ago or so. One of my first crazy news updates was. This is actually crazy news that Lada, the Russian car manufacturer, does not have enough spare parts, but they're trying to supply cars into the dealerships. So what they do is supply them unfinished. For example, the front panel, the front panel where the speedometer and everything sometimes is missing. So the car comes into a dealership and the dealer has two choices: to sell the car discounted to people. So they buy it in as-is condition and then fix it on their own. I guess for the warranty, the dealer goes, for the warranty, you must go to the manufacturer directly. I mean, How else would you give warranty for that stuff? So the dealer either, sells the car at the discount unfinished, incomplete, or the dealer actually contacts the Chinese manufacturer, orders a part needed, waits, installs it, but using dealer workers, and then sells the car as brand new. So yes, this is insane. I don't know what to tell you. I can picture it in my head. It's like, hey, I think you messed up. What happened? You sent us the car without front panel. No, it was supposed to be like that. I don't know what would dealers say. That'd be dead silence. Like, oh. Phew. Whew. Lisa, I know there's no joy in this realization that your Russia world has been a lie. You are brave for facing the truth. It hurts. It still hurts, but it hurt more in the past. I'm getting used to it. It still hurts, though. It's a feeling of hurt and shame at the same time, because, like I said, I'm responsible. Like everyone else in Russia is responsible, because it was happening in front of our own eyes. And we chose not to look. We chose to look away. We chose not to say anything. We chose to sit on our butts and do nothing. So I'm pretty ashamed of that. But I'm getting used to this feeling, and it's becoming not as acute, if you know what I mean. Mikhail, sending my love to Finland from Uzbekistan. If the politicians worked for the people in Russia, Russia would be the best country in the world. It is the richest, the largest, it's great country, it's beautiful, It has so many riches, it could be, Russians wouldn't even have to work. They would have passive income from the government, like everyone, and it would be like rich, rich, rich. That's only if politicians worked for the people. Veronica, howdy. Ferrari guy, thank you so much for showing up, for being with us. Dave Strains, thank you. Coffee, money, well received and welcome. Thank you so much, friend. So, Great Southern Land nano equates to 10 to the power of -9. Russian nanotechnology could also mean 9 stages behind the average. Nasetka, thank you so much. Good to see you. Leitmotif for me, Alaska residents are each paid from oil revenues. Well, I know that. In Russia, everyone knows that. And everyone keeps asking this question, how come they get paid from Alaska, and how come we don't get paid? I don't think they ask this question anymore because there are bigger, worse things happening. But they used to ask this question. And not politicians, but every populist would come up with this stat. Oh, look at Alaska. Every Alaskan resident gets, whatever amount from the government just because there's resources, being used from Alaska. And I remember that well. Caesars, thank you so much. Hello. May it be that demography of the Russian population is overstated as well? Good question. It very well could be. This is actually not a simple answer. I have heard rumors that Russian population is much smaller than what they say. How do they know? They go and check the records of births and deaths. Because Russian Statistics Agency is one thing, but when a child is born, you go to a special place, designated special place. It's called a birth office, and then they apply for citizenship. They give you passport for the child and the fourth. Those records are available. So when people started counting those records, who die and who is born, then they were shocked. I heard the number of 99 million Russians, but again, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but these are rumors. But that's definitely something worth looking into. So thank you so much. William, atheist number 1. Some kudos for Russia. You were the only right to the space station for years. You just need to get rid of your reptilian leadership. You think they're reptiloids? A lot of Russians start thinking that more and more. Yeah. Thank you so much, atheist William. I hope you pray with us. What can I say? I invite you for a prayer every time. And it's time now, because we're getting close to the end of the stream. Frank in Texas, howdy. Jan Siroki, do Russian propaganda still claim Alaska there? No, they don't. They don't claim that. But they say, we can go and take it back. We can, it would be good if Alaska was part of Russia. It was it was Russian land in the past, and we sold it, but it wasn't fair deal. That deal should be nullified, some crazy say stuff like that. Crusader Damian, Putin response to Adamax was, they made a mistake, doesn't sound very strong, mannish. Also, why do BRICS members quote their trade deal with in US dollars? Well, I think your questions are rhetorical, because you know the answers as well as I do, because that's what you do. You trade in the US dollars. Russia has tried to trade oil, to sell oil to India in rupees, and look what happened. Not good. Russia's basically is giving India oil for free, and China not so good as well. So other countries don't want to follow Russia's footsteps, so to speak, And you're right, no, that answer did not sound very strongmanish. But, name me a strongmanish answers he has given over the past 18 months. I don't recall one. So thank you so much. You're always spot on. Thank you so very much for coming back. And Michael Silberg, howdy, friend. You look great and well rested. If you could talk to yourself in 91, would you tell yourself? Oh, that is an incredible question. Thank you for Michael. First of all, thanks for coming, supporting. You're here almost every day. What would I tell myself? Just one thing comes in mind, you in 2010 get the Bitcoins, as many as you can. On a serious note, I would not tell anything, because with me doing something else, I would have become a different person, and I like who I have become. Okay. I've made lots of mistakes, but those mistakes were not fatal, and they didn't harm other people. It was just mistakes with wrong career choices or wrong money choices and things like that. I mean, I wish I would save more when I was younger in the 30s. I was just going out, burning money left and right, and buying cars and things like that. So I would have spent, I would have invested. But that's minor. I mean, it's nothing to, it's like a not life breaker or anything like that. All those mistakes were experiences that changed me bit by bit into who I have become today. So I wish I could talk to myself, but I wouldn't have said, "Oh, don't do this or do this." I was just like, enjoy. That's all. It'd be great to be young again. That's for sure. My friends, thank you so very much for coming. I'm gonna be wrapping up. You're awesome. You rock. You're fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. I invite everyone to join me in the prayer, because it's the most important part of my stream every day. That's how I feel. So please, folks, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for praying with me. Let's do it. Who would have thought that one first prayer, Lorna, mommy, you were there, I remember. I think Pinball was there. There were quite a few. Dirk was there for sure. Remember that the first prayer we were praying for Maria Z? Who would have thought this would turn out into like 600 prayers? Yeah, thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this life. Thank you for giving us food on our tables, putting roofs over our heads, and surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and clear, and raise them in a way that when they grow up and become adults, they will make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. The country has suffered so much for nothing, without any reason. So many people have suffered, have been affected. Please help everyone who's been affected, answer their prayers, and soothe their souls, and make their wishes come true. Please send them angels, so the angels keep people safe. Please reach out and touch the hearts of people who are responsible and capable of making this decision, so they wake up. They will be terrified what they have done, and they will make this bloodshed stop as soon as possible. Dear Lord, please help my country, Russia, assemble a very strong army of your best, most dangerous angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, so they would come down onto this earth like avalanche and get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Do that, please. Have angels run Russia, make it peaceful, loving, loved, respecting, and respected. Please help everyone who is traveling. Send them safe travels, who's asking for political asylum or any kind of asylum, running away from evil, from the bad. Please help all the single mothers who are struggling, raising their kids, trying to make ends meet. Help everyone who is helping Ukrainians, who help everyone who is in Ukraine, who's in danger and suffering from the attacks of Russian missiles. Please send them help and safety. Dear Lord, please help all the sick, the hungry, the addicted, the depressed, the jobless, the homeless, the betrayed, the ones who are not feeling good about themselves, about their lives. Please fill their hearts with your love and with your warmth, so they feel you in their lives. They feel that they're not alone. They feel that there's help and there's God who cares. Please surround them with warmth of you, so they feel better about their lives and they feel worthy again. And they feel like they have a chance to have good, happy life. Dear Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to come together into this community and form this community and maintain it and come every day and pray together. Please help everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Dear Lord, I would like to ask you to help a few people. And I'll start with a little girl. Her name is Sarah. She is waiting for surgery. Please help her. Send her good doctors. Send her all that she needs. Please direct the hands of the surgeons that will be performing the surgery so it goes well and then she recovers fast. Please help her parents who are praying for their daughter 24/7. Give them Sarah healthy and recovered so they can all go home and live. Thank you. There are also other people. They are Kyle E.'s wife, Joseph Johnson, Paula McGillis, who's fighting cancer, H. Homestead, CB, Ann Larson's daughter, Hannah. Please send help and recovery. Morgan L. Terry Carter's former in-laws, and let Louise's last chapter on earth be filled with joy. Jason Connor needs recovery after the surgery. Jenny Stevenson, Jay Spike, Leslie Fleming's daughter, Bas Semen, Sam from Kiev, Wayne, who is fighting 2 cancers, Anna in Poland, Scan family's members, grandson and other members who are in need of your help or not feeling well. Please send them recovery. Dave, Dawn, Summer 613's mother, Mike O'Neill, Liz Dumbrell, Darla, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Susie Mailer, Vasilin Lubamirov, Linda Trombley, Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Michael, Randolph, Lisa Kumrian, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Grace Philosophy, Karen, Liz, Lori Miles' husband, Rafaela, the Highwayman, David Porter, his family and everyone from Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Stefan from Sweden, Teresa D. Alvin, Joe and Lee McMahon, Meta Spencer, and Pamela J. Dear Lord, please help all the children that have been affected by this terrible tragedy that's happening in Russia and in Ukraine. Help the Ukrainian children. Please have them return home to their parents. Don't forget about them. Don't leave them, please. Thank you, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thank you again. You are absolutely awesome and you rock. It's an honor to have you here in the live stream, and thank you. I will see you tomorrow with another message, but before I sign off, as usual, I'd like to ask you to say along with me the following, as loud as you can. Carthago delenda est.